So, since I've been talking about my time as an escort, I've gotten some people reaching out to me from my childhood people that I grew up with in the very small town that I grew up with. And one of the people said, wow, people would be shocked if they knew what you were doing, had done, your life in Vegas. And I guess my answer to that is, let them be shocked. Like, how can you look at somebody's life that you've never experienced and look at it with judgment? You've never walked in my shoes. You've never lived my life, not even a day. And you never had my childhood. And you were maybe not sexually abused as a child, and maybe didn't have a narcissistic father who never showed you love. And because of that, I did a lot of things. Like, I constantly seeked out men for their approval and satisfaction, and liked to be amused to men because it reminded me of my relationship to my father. Like, let me hear, probably as a child I wanted that attention and stuff, and it was never met with love. So it was a very easy thing for me to be and go and be a sex worker. But what I'm saying is, how, I'm not getting my point across here. Sometimes my thoughts are so eloquent in my head, and I don't know if this is ADHD, if everybody else has this, or what. But a lot of times my thoughts are jumbled in my head. But I guess what I'm saying is, I lived in the same county that I lived in, that I grew up in for 37 years. And one day I decided enough was enough. I'm done with it. And I moved to Florida. I got a boyfriend there. I moved to San Diego. We broke up. I moved to Vegas. That was a long story in itself, which is a whole nother video. And I did what I had to do to survive with the tools that I had, which mentally weren't very good. I didn't have a good solid foundation. I lived in survival mode as a child, and I continued to live in survival mode as an adult. My mental toolbox wasn't there. I worked on that myself. I got there, and I got out of sex work. So to judge me because I was in sex work when I was broken is just shitty. And I think more people do that than don't. I think it takes a very open mind to not judge somebody. And I also think it takes a broken person who's been broken to be like, you know what? We all have a story. It's okay. Because the people who are in their little shiny boxes and their little shiny cars and their little shiny faces and all of the things are the ones that are first going to judge you. And then they're probably going to say something about their organized religion on top of it. And I would just like to say, you haven't lived my life. I don't care if the people in my small town that I grew up with have shit to say about me. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care because somebody who's never left the county that they grew up in has not had the life experiences that I have. They just haven't. You're being in your box, everybody's kind of the same. You receive kind of the same programming. All of the things that you're into are in that little box. And when you go out into the big wide world, there's other things going on and other factors. And in my little box, it was all fucked up because I had a narcissistic, abusive parent. I was sexually abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, and all of the abuses that you can possibly think of were in my little box. So if you came from a loving home where your parents had dinners together and actually gave you birthdays on parties and celebrations, and you like to be around people in your family, you will never understand where I come from because that was not my life. It's not my life. It was never my life. So think about that when you judge somebody, because all of our lives are different. I truly believe that we do all have a soul purpose, and we agree to our experience before we came here. If you don't agree to that, or if you've never been privy to that, you should read some Dolores Cannon. I'm reading Between Life and Death right now, and it is amazing. Between Death and Life, I think it's called. It's amazing. It will open up your mind. But what I'm finding is a lot of people don't seem to want to open up their mind. They just want to sit there with their scowls on their face and their judgments in their heads and their hearts. And I think that makes you an ugly person. So don't be an ugly person.